Hello there. In this video, you will learn about properties of materials. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify, classify, and describe the properties of wood. Identify, classify, and describe the properties of metals, and also be able to identify the properties of ceramics and glass. So, what are materials? Materials are substances from which other things can be made. Basically, they can be classified into two, metallic and non-metallic. The metallic ones can further be subdivided into ferrous and non-ferrous metals, while the non-metallic ones can be divided into natural and synthetic materials. Examples of natural non-metallic materials are wood, rubber, plastics, etc. In this part of the lesson, we shall discuss on wood. One of the materials supplied by nature is wood. It is obtained from trees and commonly used in the manufacture of furniture. How do we identify wood? Generally, a log of wood can be identified by its color. This distinctive color gives it a high decorative value. Iroko is yellowish brown, while mahogany is reddish brown in color. Other types of wood like afara, teak, etc. all have their distinctive colors. Let's take a look at this table to get a clearer picture. Wood can be classified into two major groups, hardwood and softwood. Hardwood trees are also called deciduous trees, while softwood trees are also called coniferous trees. Now let's take a look at the differences in the properties of hardwood and softwood. Hardwood is gotten from deciduous trees, while softwood is gotten from coniferous trees. The shape of the leaves of each tree also differ. Hardwood trees have broad leaves, while coniferous trees have needle-like leaves. Deciduous trees shed their leaves once in a year, whereas coniferous trees are evergreen. Hardwood is mostly found in tropical regions like West Africa, whereas softwood grows in temperate regions. You can study the table very well to see other properties. Moving on to the second section of the lesson, you shall learn about metals. Identification of metals is important because it helps to distinguish one type of metal from the other. This distinguishing factor helps to identify the specific role a particular metal is suited for. There are two major classifications of metals, ferrous metals and non-ferrous metals. Ferrous metals are metals that contain iron in them. The presence of iron makes them susceptible to rust. You know what rust means, right? This is a rusted metal. Such metals are best suited for use in electrical appliances because of their magnetism. Examples are carbon steel, alloy steel, wrought iron, etc. On the other hand, non-ferrous metals do not contain iron in them and therefore are not vulnerable to rust. They are best suited for use in electronic and wiring application. Examples are aluminium, copper, zinc, etc. Both ferrous and non-ferrous metals have properties which makes them to be identified as metals. These properties are 1. Conductivity of heat. When heat spreads from one part of a metal to the other, the metal is said to have conducted heat. 2. Metals can be hammered into different shapes. This property is called malleability. 3. Density, which is the weight of the metal, and it varies from metal to metal. E.g., aluminium is light and lead is heavy. 4. Color and luster is the appearance of a metal when the surface is polished. For example, when polished and examined under a microscope, copper presents a different appearance from mild polished steel. 5. Fusibility, which is the property of a metal which makes it melt and combine with other metals while in a liquid form. 6. The magnetic property of a metal. If a metal is magnetic, it is attracted by a magnet. Magnetic property is used to differentiate ferrous metals from non-ferrous metals. A magnet will attract ferrous metals but will not attract non-ferrous metals. 7. Elasticity, which is the elastic property of a metal, that is, its ability to stretch. Whenever any metallic object is hit with another material, it makes a loud sound. The third and final section of this topic talks about ceramics and glass. Clay exists naturally in many parts of the world. When it is wet, it can easily be molded into different shapes and sizes. We use clay to mold various objects like storage pots, cooking pots, and dishes. These solid objects made from clay, mud, or cement are called ceramics. So, what are the distinctive features of ceramics? Ceramics are brittle, that is, they can easily break into pieces. They can easily be molded into different forms and sizes. They can also withstand very high temperature, hence resistant to heat. They are also malleable when mixed with water, are resistant to corrosion, and have high melting point. Glass is another important material used in our households. It is made from inorganic materials. Glass breaks easily, hence it is highly brittle. Glass products can be seen through, that is, they are transparent. They are also resistant to corrosion, just like ceramics. This brings us to the end of this lesson. For now, you should be able to answer these questions. How many classes of wood do we have? Name 3 examples of hardwood trees. Mention 2 features of softwood. Mention and explain 5 properties of metals. What is the difference between ferrous and non-ferrous metals? List 4 examples of non-ferrous metals. Mention 2 properties of glass and explain 4 properties of ceramics.